Most horror games reward you for being good. Save people, make moral choices, help the weak. But I found horror games that punish every act of kindness. And the worst part isn't just losing health or items. The moment you realize these games aren't testing your morality, they're revealing it. So let's start with Vampyr, because this game looked at the concept of being a helpful doctor and said, what if we made that the worst possible career choice? You play as Jonathan Reed, who's basically the world's most unfortunate medical professional. He's the doctor who got turned into a vampire, which is already a pretty bad day at the office. But here's where the game gets mean. The only way to get stronger and unlock cool vampire powers is to feed on people, specifically your patients. Now, most games would give you some evil path and some good path, right? Be the monster, get strong but feel bad. Be the hero, stay weak but feel good about yourself. Well, Vampyr just laughs at that idea. You can choose to be a good doctor and never hurt anyone. The game will make sure you regret that choice every single time you get into a fight. See, when you spare people, you get basically no experience points. Fighting some random vampire hunter becomes this painful, drawn-out affair where you're just barely surviving because you decided not to murder the nice old lady who came in with a cough. The game literally makes being ethical feel like playing on expert mode with a broken controller. But wait, it gets worse. The game has this thing where you can improve patients' health by curing their diseases and solving their personal problems. Sweet, right? Wrong. Making them healthier just makes them worth more experience when you eventually crack and decide to eat them. So every time you help someone feel better, you're basically marinating them for later. The game forces you to be a doctor who views every successful treatment as just prep work for your future snacking session. But that's nothing compared to what happens when helping people literally starves you to death. Look, if you don't like this video right now, I'm personally going to design a horror game where if you skip doing something nice, I'm going to make a virtual puppy get angry at you and eat you. Subscribe or you're gonna face the consequences of my terrible game design skills. Okay, welcome to Pathologic 2, where being a decent human being is treated as a luxury you cannot afford. This game takes place in a plague-infested town where you play as a doctor trying to save people while also trying not to die yourself. Spoiler alert, the game really wants you to die. Here's how this works. Every resource in the game is limited and expensive. Food, medicine, time, even sleep. And every single act of kindness costs you something you need to survive. Some starving person asks for food, cool, give it to them. But now your hunger meter is closer to killing you. Someone needs medicine, hand it over, but good luck when you inevitably get sick and have nothing left for yourself. The game runs on this brutal timer where each day gets shorter and resources get more expensive. So when you spend 20 minutes helping some random person instead of gathering supplies or advancing the main story, you're not just being nice, you're actively choosing to fail at something more important later. And the game knows what it's doing. It puts sick people right in your path, begging for help. It makes their stories sad and personal. Then it watches you choose between being a good person and actually surviving the next day. It's the most passive-aggressive game ever made. And the worst part is when helping someone actually makes things worse for them. Give water to the wrong person at the wrong time and congratulations, you just helped spread the plague to the entire neighborhood. Try to save everyone and you end up saving no one, including yourself. By day 3, you're walking past dying children because you learned that compassion is a fast track to joining them. The game doesn't punish kindness, it trains you out of it completely. And if you think watching kids die is rough, well, wait until you meet the game that makes you cut off your own limbs to save your friends. This war of mine decided that regular people during wartime needed their own special hell. And that hell is having neighbors. You're not a soldier or a hero. You're just some person trying to keep a small group alive in a city under siege. During the day, snipers keep everyone inside. At night, you can send someone out to scavenge for supplies, food, medicine, materials to fix your broken shelter. Everything you need to not die comes from these dangerous trips. Then your neighbors start showing up. They need medicine for their sick kid. They're out of food and haven't eaten in days. They just need a little help, just this once, and you look at your own supplies. They're barely enough to keep your group alive, and you have to decide if you're the kind of person who lets children starve. Look, if there's an apocalypse and I'm in my own bunker, I don't give no f**ks about some sick kid. Get the f**k out of my bunker. Okay, little Timmy, you need some medicine? Go eat some dirt. That's what my generation did when you were a baby. They don't work for anything. Except the game really wants you to be that person, because every can of food you give away is one less meal for for your group. Every bandage you share is one you won't have when someone gets hurt. The math is simple and brutal. Helping others means your people suffer. And this game loves giving you sick, damaged, broken children in these horrible situations. A child knocking on your door asking for food while their parent is dying. Do you give them your last can of soup? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it at all. Congratulations, now one of your group members is depressed and sick from hunger. Don't give them anything, well now you get to live with that choice. What makes it worse is that sometimes helping people actually ends up getting them killed. You give someone medicine and they get robbed for it on the road to hell. Your act of kindness just painted a target on their back. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And this war of mine is the guy paving the damn road. But our next game, Lisa, takes this idea and makes it way more personal. Lisa, the Painful, looked at the concept of loving someone and asked, what if that cost you actual pieces of your body? You play as Brad, a guy trying to rescue his adopted daughter from a wasteland full of weirdos. Standard rescue mission stuff, except the game keeps asking you to trade your limbs for other people's lives. And somehow, this becomes a reasonable business transaction you start to consider. The game's main villain shows up and gives you these delightful choices. Hey Brad, I'm gonna kill your friend here unless you let me cut your damn arm off. And if you sit there thinking, well, I do like that friend, and I have 2 arms, and before you know it, you're agreeing to voluntary amputation because it seems like the polite thing to do. Lose 1 arm and your attack power drops. Fine, you can deal with that. But then the game comes back and says, actually, I'm gonna need that other arm too. Now you're playing as a guy who can barely fight because you were too nice to let your friends die. Come on, man, just let your friends die. It can't be that bad. But it gets weirder. People will challenge your party members to Russian roulette for money, and big money, life-changing money. But if they lose, they die forever. So you have to decide if you're willing to risk your friend's life for cash, or if you're too moral for profitable gambling with human lives. Look, I pose the question to every single person watching. Let's say you've got your party member of your closest friends, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your partner, your mom, your dad, anybody that you love in your life. Would you sign them up for a game of Russian roulette? The winning prize is $100 million. They have a 1 in 6 chance to die. You gotta pull the trigger though. Are you doing it? Look, I'm not a gambling man, okay? I would never gamble on $100 million. Here's what I would do. The game constantly puts you in situations where the selfish choice is the smart choice, but the nice choice is the human choice. Want to save everyone? Great. Enjoy playing as a limbless, broke, friendless man stumbling through a wasteland. Want to be practical? You'll survive, but you'll have to step over a lot of bodies to get there. But at least in Liza, you know you're making bad choices. The Walking Dead figured out something cruel about human nature. People will hate you for making the right choice at the wrong time. Picture this. You're at a farm, zombies attack, and you have to pick between saving the farmer's son or your friend's kid. Noble choice, right? Save the host's son because he gave you shelter. Except no matter what you do, the kid dies anyways. And now the farmer blames you for his death while your friend thinks you don't care about his family. Your reward for trying to be loyal is getting kicked off the farm and losing an ally. Then there's the food situation. You have 4 apples and 10 hungry people. Basic math says this is impossible. The game makes you distribute them anyway. Give food to the kids, the adults resent you. Give it to the adults, well, you're heartless towards children. To be fair, everyone gets a tiny bite, and now everyone's mad at you for being useless. But my favorite is when an old guy has a heart attack and his daughter is trying to save him while your friend wants to smash his head in before he turns into a zombie. You side with the daughter because, hey, basic human decency. The old guy dies anyway, and your friend spends the rest of the game treating you like an idiot who can't make hard decisions. Every moral choice you make creates a new enemy. Be honest about your criminal past, well, people don't trust you. Lie about it, well, they find out and don't trust you anyways. The game doesn't punish you with death or resource loss. It punishes you by making every relationship a minefield where good intentions explode in your face. Moving on though, Fallout New Vegas treats kindness as a character flaw that makes you as an easy target. Early in the game, you meet this guy named Barton who's panicking about his girlfriend being trapped by dangerous lizards. He's frantic, desperate, begging for help. Every hero instinct you've developed from years of gaming tells you to help him. So you fight through a bunch of angry reptiles, use up your ammo and healing items, items, and finally reach the spot where his girlfriend should be. Surprise! There is no girlfriend, just some loot and a bunch of bear traps. Barton shows up, thanks you for clearing out the pests, then tries to murder you for the treasure. Your reward for being a good Samaritan is getting stabbed by the person you helped. The game does this constantly. Try to help some farmers figure out who's stealing their water, and you discover it's a bunch of poor people who need it to survive. Choose to help the poor people instead, and suddenly the entire region's food supply collapses because those farms feed thousands of soldiers and civilians. Your compassion, you being a nice guy, just caused a famine. Want to help your robot companion learn about the world? You bring her cool technology to show her faction. They reject everything, call her a heretic, and leave her heartbroken. Your attempt to open their minds just gets her branded as a traitor. Every time you try to fix something, you break something else. Kind of like real life. Every person you trust ends up lying to you. Kind of like real life. Every good deed creates 3 new problems. Oh, kind of like real life. The game teaches you that in a world full of desperate people, being helpful doesn't make you a hero. It makes you a sucker. And speaking of being a sucker, let's talk about The Witcher 3. And it specializes in making you feel smart right before proving that you're actually, secretly, an idiot. Why? Well, there's this quest where you find some evil witches who are planning to eat a bunch of orphan kids. You know, standard video game stuff. Save the children, defeat the evil witches, feel good about yourself. But first, you meet this ancient spirit trapped under a tree who promises to save those kids if you free it. Easy choice, right? Free the spirit, save the children. Everyone wins except the child-eating witches. You do the right thing and walk away feeling pretty good about your moral compass. Well, then you find out what actually happened. The spirit kept its word and saved the kids, which made the witches furious, so they cursed a woman named Anna, turning her into a monster. When her husband finds her and breaks the curse, the magic backlash kills her instantly. The husband, devastated by watching his wife die in his arms, goes home and hangs himself. Your decision to save 5 orphans just caused 2 adult deaths and left an entire region without a leader. The area falls into chaos because you wanted to be a hero who saves children from witches. The alternative was letting the kids get eaten, but keeping Anna and her husband alive. There is no good choice, just different flavors of tragedy. But the game doesn't tell you this up front. It lets you make what feels like an obvious moral decision and then shows you the body count later. This happens constantly. Help some mages escape persecution? Great. Now the persecutors just switch to torturing non-humans instead. Your compassion didn't stop the violence. It just redirected it towards different victims. But Darkwood watched this and thought, what if helping people was even more direct about killing them? What do I mean? Well, Darkwood operates on a simple principle. Your assistance is basically a death sentence with good intentions. The game gives you 2 potential allies early on, the Wolfman and the Musician. Wolfman is clearly a violent psychopath who threatens you constantly. The Musician seems nice and innocent. It's just a guy trying to survive in a terrible world. Obviously, you should help the nice guy instead of the murder beast. Helping the Musician turns the game into hard mode, not because he's secretly evil, but because, like me, he's weak and useless at life. Choosing him means tougher fights, worse rewards, and the Wolfman hunting you down later for revenge. The moral choice is the mechanically stupid choice, and the game knows it. Then there's Piotrek, who dreams of building a rocket to escape this nightmare forest. He asks for your help gathering parts, and his story is genuinely heartbreaking. This poor guy just wants to get out, to find hope in a hopeless world. How could you not help him achieve his dream? You're a monster if you would refuse. If you help him build that rocket, it immediately crashes and kills him. Only way Piotrek survives is if you don't help him, leaving him miserable but alive with his impossible dream intact. Or how about the chicken lady who asks you to find her missing sister? It's a sweet request from someone who's clearly suffered enough. So you track down the sister and discover she's turned into a screaming monster that attacks everything in sight. Your rescue mission just unleashed another horror into the world. Every act of kindness backfires spectacularly. Help someone achieve their goals, they die. Reunite family members, one of them tries to kill you. The force doesn't just punish you for being nice, it punishes everyone you try to help. What if a game lied about punishing you for being good? BioShock pulled the greatest long con in gaming history, and most players fell for it completely. You're wandering around this underwater city. You keep running into these creepy little girls called Little Sisters. They're protected by giant monsters, but once you kill their guardian, you get a choice. Harvest the girl for lots of genetic power, or save her and get way less. Your guide, Atlas, keeps telling you to harvest them. You need that power to survive, he says. Don't be sentimental. The math seems obvious. You get more genetic points for harvesting and less for saving. Being nice cuts your power in half. Classic punishment for kindness. So millions of players spent years murdering children because they thought the game was teaching them that morality was a luxury they couldn't couldn't afford. We became monsters because we assumed that's what the game wanted. Except it was all a lie. Save enough little sisters and their caretakers start sending you big gifts, exclusive weapons, rare upgrades, and piles of genetic material that you can't get any other way. By the end, players who saved everyone had just as much power as the child murderers, plus better equipment. And the real kicker, the endings are completely different. Save all the little sisters and you escape to live a happy life raising them as your daughters. Harvest even one and you become a monster who takes over the world. The game pretended that being good was mechanically stupid while secretly making it the optimal strategy. BioShock trained players to think they were being smart by choosing power over morality. Then it revealed that they were just being evil for no reason. But Silent Hill 2 skips the fake out and goes straight for your psychological weak spots. Silent Hill 2 weaponizes your desire to be comforting and turns it into your personal hell. You meet Maria early in the game. She looks exactly like your dead wife Mary, but she's more fun, more flirty, and more alive. She gets scared and she needs your protection. Every instinct tells you to take care of her because she seems vulnerable and lost. So you check in on her constantly. You make sure she's okay. You spend extra time talking to her. You protect her from monsters. You're being a good person, a caring person. Maria clearly needs help, and you're the kind of player who helps people in need. Well, all this consideration and kindness leads you directly to the worst ending possible. Maria represents everything you wish your wife had been. Healthier, happier, less complicated. Focusing on her means you're avoiding the painful truth about what really happened to Mary, your real wife. You're choosing a comfortable lie over a difficult reality. The game lets you be nice to Maria for hours. It never stops you or warns you, but every conversation, every moment of concern, every protective gesture is the game recording your emotional cowardice. You think you're being caring, but you're actually running away from your own guilt. In the Maria ending, you leave town with her instead of confronting your past, but as you drive away, she starts coughing, the same cough that kills your wife. You've learned nothing, you silly boy. You're doomed to repeat the same cycle because you chose kindness over honesty. The punishment isn't mechanical or narrative, it's existential. Your reward for being nice to Maria is an eternity of making the same mistakes while never understanding why. Moving on, Spec Ops: The Line looked at heroic instincts and decided to make them war crimes. One day distant in the past, developers at Spec Ops: The Line noticed that military shooters had trained an entire generation to solve problems with big boom explosives. So they decided to test that theory. You're pinned down by enemy soldiers. Standard military shooter situation. Bad guys shooting at you from fortified positions, too many to fight normally. Then you find a mortar with some special rounds. White phosphorus rounds. These are chemical weapons that burn through anything. Now, if you've played through literally any other shooter or war game in the last 20 years, you know what to do. Use the big weapon to clear the area. It's obviously the tactical solution the game wants you to find. The mortar even comes with a nice targeting system so you can aim precisely at the enemy's positions. So you fire the chemical rounds and watch them explode across the battlefield. Problem solved, mission continues. Except then the game makes you walk through what you just did. You see the aftermath up close. The burned bodies, the melted flesh, the civilians who were mixed in with the soldiers, including a mother holding her child, both of them charred beyond recognition. Congratulations, you just committed a war crime because the game presented it as a puzzle to solve. Your military shooter instincts turned you into someone who burns people alive with chemical weapons. The game didn't force you to do it, it just made it seem like the smart, heroic choice. Later, when locals capture your squad member and you have to choose between killing innocent civilians or watching him die, the game offers you typical video game solutions. Shoot the ropes to free everyone, snipe the bad guys, be clever to save the day. But every clever solution fails, gets people killed because real situations don't have video game logic. But moving on, a game called Soma takes this type of betrayal even further by letting you save everyone except for yourself. Soma presents you with the ultimate altruistic mission: save the last remnants of humanity by launching them into space in a digital paradise called the Ark. You spend the entire game working toward this goal, making sacrifices and moral compromises to ensure these consciousness scans can escape Earth and live forever in a perfect simulation. It's noble stuff. You're literally saving the human race from extinction. The catch is that getting there requires copying your consciousness into different robot bodies. Not transferring, copying. The original stays behind while the copy moves forward. The game explains this clearly, but you assume it won't matter because surely you'll be the copy that makes it to the Ark. Later, you successfully launch the Ark into space. Mission accomplished. Humanity is saved. The digital paradise is real and thousands of human minds are now living happily in their simulated world. You did it. You're the hero. Cut to black, credits roll, and then you're back in your robot body at the bottom of the ocean, alone in the dark, forever. Your copy made it to the Ark. He's living in paradise with everyone else. But you, the version you've been playing as, are stuck in the depths with no way out and no company. Your companion's computer just shorted out, and there's not even anyone to talk to. The coin flip of consciousness didn't land in your favor. You saved humanity and doomed yourself to eternity of isolation. Your reward for completing the ultimate rescue mission is becoming the one person who doesn't get rescued. The copy of you in the Ark will never know that another version got left behind. He thinks he won. You know you lost everything. But even more disturbing is our next game, Off, and it decides that just playing the game at all makes you the villain. Off presents itself as a heroic quest to purify a world infected with evil spirits, then slowly reveals that you've been conducting genocide this entire time. You control the Batter, who has a sacred mission to cleanse the world of specters. Sounds noble enough. The world is divided into zones, each with a guardian protecting it from these evil spirits. Your job is to defeat the guardians and purify their zones. Standard RPG hero stuff. Each time you purify a zone, it gets replaced by the word nothing on your map. That should probably be a red flag. The game keeps congratulating you on your successful mission, so you keep going. You're saving the world from evil, right? Turns out the specters were just the people who lived there. The guardians were protecting their homes from you. Every zone you purified, you wiped from existence. Every victory was an act of systematic extermination. Your sacred mission was never about cleansing evil. It was about deleting anything that lives. The judge, a cat who's been giving you advice, finally reveals the truth. You're not the hero. You're the apocalypse. The Batter isn't purifying anything. He's erasing the world piece by piece, and you've been helping him to do it. Now you get to choose. Side with the judge and try to stop the monster you've been controlling, or stick with the Batter and finish destroying everything. Either way, you've already eliminated most of reality. The damage is done. The final switch turns the entire world off. Black screen, nothing left. The reward for completing every quest and defeating every boss is the total annihilation of existence itself. But even if you act like a psychopath, in those games, they still let you restart with a clean state, not the next ones. Because these two games looked at the concept of punishment and decided to make it personal by attacking your actual save files. Undertale starts innocent enough. You can choose to spare every monster and get the happy ending where everyone becomes friends. Sweet, wholesome, exactly what you'd expect from a game about determination and friendship. But there's also a genocide route where you specifically have to try very hard and hunt down and kill every single creature in the underground. Complete that genocide run and something interesting happens. The game remembers forever, even if you delete your save file and start over, even if you try to play the pacifist route perfectly. The game knows what you did. Your good ending gets corrupted. In the final happy scene, the main character's face turns demonic and you see Chara's true soul. And everyone in the final photo has their faces crossed out. You can never get the pure, untainted good ending again, ever. The game has permanently marked your copy as belonging to someone who chose to commit digital genocide. Your punishment isn't losing health or items, it's losing the ability to ever experience innocence in this game again. Nier Automata goes even further though. After you beat the game and see all the main endings, it offers you one final choice. You can help other players get through the brutal credit sequence by sacrificing your own progress. Not your character's progress, but your progress. Your levels, your weapons, your save file, everything that you spent dozens of hours earning. Delete it all to help a stranger or keep your achievements and let them struggle alone. Choose to help and the game permanently erases every trace of your time with it. The ultimate act of kindness costs you everything that you've built. Both games punish you in the real world for your virtual choices. That's not just breaking the fourth wall, that is destroying it. So what is the point of games that hate nice players then? Why would developers spend years crafting experiences designed to make you feel terrible about being a decent human being? Well, truthfully, most games treat you like a power fantasy. You're the chosen one, the hero, the guy who saves the day and gets the girl. These games looked at that formula and said, what if we examined what kind of person actually does these things? What if we made you question whether charging into situations with weapons drawn and solving problems through violence actually makes you the good guy. These games aren't punishing kindness to be mean. They're revealing how gaming has trained us to think. We've been conditioned to see other characters as either useful allies or obstacles to remove. We collect people, items, and power-ups without considering the cost. We restart when things go wrong, treating death and failure as minor inconveniences rather than permanent consequences. But at the end of the day, life isn't black and white, and that's what these games are trying to show you. There isn't always a good guy and a bad guy. Sometimes there's just a shitty situation and a less shitty situation. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to like the video and comment down below what you thought of these games. Which one was your favorite that you've played? And subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. And if you want to watch another one of my videos, click the video on screen now.